welcome to day 34 of the 100 Day Project. Today I'm coming at you with another one of my favorite readings. I love Shakespeare, as you may well know. Love his plays. I think he had a very imaginative mind, and whether or not he borrowed or stole ideas from other people is kind of here nor there, because we're reading his plays in 2018 and not theirs. So, whatevs, hey? When you live, if you want to live forever, compose some of the greatest things ever, and then we'll be reading them 100, 200, 400, 500 years from now. So, that's kind of a little aside. So, a lot of the plays, if not all of them, have a prologue. It's kind of like a setup. Think like Star Wars, like the title, like that's a prologue. It just kind of gives you a bit of a background on the play and what's happening, and it also invites the audience to participate in the play. Now you got to imagine, like 500, 400 years ago, you're sitting in kind of like like an oval, and you're looking down onto the stage, and they are reproducing history, right? So these are stories that people are familiar with. But, you're not going to go out into, like, a field and have, 500 horses charging at one another in a big battle, right? So you have to suspend your disbelief. We do that all the time in our movie theaters today. We suspend our disbelief. That's why superhero movies are so, popular. That's why movies in general are so popular, because we can sit in front of a giant screen and we can use our imaginations and buy into the reality that is being present for us. And the prologue of Henry V and a lot of his other plays, Shakespeare's other plays, asks you to do the same thing. And I like the prologues because they're a little less technical. You don't really need to know the story, but the language is still beautiful nonetheless. So here we go. Here is Henry V, the prologue that I'm going to read for you. Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention, a kingdom for a stage, princes to act, and monarchs to behold the swelling scene. Then should the warlike Harry, like himself, assume the port of Mars, and at his heels, leashed in like hounds, should famine, sword, and fire crouch for employment. But pardon, and gentles all, the flat unraised spirits that have dared on this unworthy scaffold to bring forth so great an object. Can this cockpit hold the vasty fields of France? Or can we cram within this wooden O the very casques that did alight the air at Agincourt? Oh, pardons, since a crooked figure may attest in little place a million, and let us, ciphers in this great accompt, on our imaginary forces work. Suppose within the girdle of these walls are now confined two mighty monarchies, whose high upreared and abutting fronts the perilous narrow oceans apart asunder, pierce out our imperfections with your thoughts, into 1,000 parts divide on man. And make imaginary puissance think when we talk of horses that you see them, printing their proud hooves in the receiving earth. For 'tis your thoughts now that must deck our kings, carry them here and there, jumping o'er times, turning the accomplishment of many years into an hourglass, for which supply. Admit me chorus to this history, who prologue like our humble patience pray, gently to hear, kindly to judge our play. So there we have it. There is the prologue of Henry V. What I like about this prologue, especially, is just a couple lines. For 'tis your thoughts now that must deck our kings. So this play is about two kings who are butting up against each other, and the chorus, or the narrator, is inviting you to use your imagination to deck them out in all their royal splendor. And he continues to say, carry them here and there, jumping o'er time. So this is a play that was written 400 years ago, and the narrator is asking you to think back in time, right? So you are using your imagination not only to deck out the kings and in their royal splendor and in the things that they do, but is also asking you to transport yourselves back in time. And the next couple lines, turning the accomplishment of many years into an hourglass for which supplies. So, you're not going to cram, 200 years of history into a play, because that would take 200 years to perform, and nobody, the line up to the bathroom would be really long, over 200 years. So he's saying, you got to suspend your disbelief. You got to just never mind the jumps in time, right? Because we want to present the most kind of epic parts of this play. And so, yeah, I just think it's really cool that, way back then is kind of like, we can transport ourselves back into history, and we can transport ourselves forward in time, as long as we are willing to suspend our belief a little. And I just think it's cool that 400 years ago, the narrator is asking a group of people to do the same as we are doing now. So anyways, that is the prologue of Henry V. It's one of my favorites. And yeah. Who prologue like our humble patience pray, gently to hear, kindly to judge my works of 100 days. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow for day 35 of the 100 Day Project, coming at you with a brand new poem. See ya.